Why, hello, it's Melody Manager Monday. Notice how I've changed the name of this thing every day because I think I'm just sticking to Melody Manager Monday and then every other day of the week that it is. Today I'm talking about purpose. For those of you who haven't seen this before, I am talking about why I started the Melody Manager, what the Melody Manager agency is, and what a Melody Manager is. I'm talking about what executive assistants can do, why women need executive support. And the Melody Manager agency is really all about providing purpose-driven, visionary female entrepreneurs, leaders, founders with really well-trained, skilled executive support that are going to be more like collaborators and less like doers. I'm trying to create a collaborative relationship between people so that I can really help women expand their influence and their impact. And today, earlier, I had been asked by somebody, like, what does it mean to be purpose driven? And I actually had to go and get my definition out to make sure that what I call purpose driven is what anybody could call it. I've talked about myself as being purpose driven since about 2017. Um, I have always struggled with understanding why I do business. If I'm not struggling, like in the beginning, you start because you want to make money, you need to survive. And eventually, not that I have ever made so much money that I don't have to worry about it, because I haven't, Matt will tell you. But eventually, I need more than just that. So for some people, they'll make it a game of just who can collect the most money. I think we can see that in the world. And then there's other people who are really just, they have a vision for their own influence and impact in the world, and they feel like they need to leave something behind that's better than what they came to. And I recognized, I mean, I've always been like that. I've always needed a more of a sense of the reason why I'm doing something, or else I lose my reason for being, really. I'll just start out with something sensitive to I talk about it though, so and I'm about to talk about it now, but when I was 18, I was hospitalized 3 times in the psych ward, from 18 to 19, and that truly deeply impacted me. Of course it did, but part of my existence has always had me wondering, like, why am I even here? Why am I in this world? What is my reason for being? Some people don't need that, I've noticed. I need it, and my kind of people, they are deep thinkers. They're thinking about what their place is in this world and why they exist here and what kind of impact they wanna make. It took me years to figure out what I was trying to do. But the other thing that hasn't changed is, if you look at the greater idea of what is meaningful to me, helping and serving and supporting people has always been very meaningful. So that's like the general view of what makes melody. So I've always, well, not always, but for the past less than a decade, I've said I'm not money motivated, I'm purpose driven. My people understand what that means immediately. Business people, they understand what that means. I've been at tables with men mostly who were horrified that I would say that, because they thought that it meant I don't care about money, and that's not what it means. What it means is if I wanna keep going after profit and money in business, then there has to be a greater purpose, or else I'll lose my drive, my energy, and I just won't wanna. And so when I looked at the definitions, it's because my definition is more personal, but it's just the reason why. It's like Simon Sinek's start with why, why are we doing the thing that we're doing? It's the deeper reason behind everything that, like, beyond what's making money, it's my deeper reason for doing what I do. It's very much an internal thing. It's a philosophical thing. And it really shapes my whole view of the world. It's about transformation and impact, and kind of I bring my values into all the work that I do. So in the beginning, I used to make my company values about me. And what I realized is it's different than what my values are. They're not much different, but right now we have something called HSVA Cares because I know that we always want to work with people who are curious, um, accountable, resourceful, emotionally intelligent, and self-motivated people. And it doesn't matter if it's a virtual assistant or if it's a client or if it's me, like that's the kind of people that I want to work with. But those aren't my internal values. My internal values are much more based on being a person of integrity and being somebody who is myself, like fully myself. That's what I want to be. I don't want to have to pretend to be anything else. And that has made it very difficult at times to do business in the worlds that I have been existing in because that's not how business is done. And so that's why I started my podcast, The Business Misfits, over a year ago. It's on hiatus right now, but it was to find, instead of me having to pluck my people and find them, it's like a needle in a haystack. Sometimes it feels like, depending on the room I'm in. I wanted people to find me. Growing a podcast is hard though. So I took a hiatus because I really am excited about what I'm doing with Kurt Kempton on the Sole Proprietor podcast. Very much similar to the Melody Manager, except deeper. Melody Manager is more, I would say, fun and shorter. So I guess what I would also say is it gives me meaning. Whenever I've sold one of my businesses, I have a midlife crisis I call it a midlife crisis. It's really just an existential crisis. I don't know why I exist if not to do this thing, right? Um, and in 2012, when I sold my first window cleaning company, I truly signed the papers and that was that. I was in it. I was in a deep depression. I had no idea who I was. I was like a stay-at-home mom now. And over time, it took me a year of like hard work, a lot of soul searching and figuring out like who am I beyond being a workaholic? Because I was a single mom and I became a mom when I was very young. And so I always had to work. I always had to hustle. I didn't think about the purpose because I didn't have the time or ability to think. I knew there was a greater purpose, but I didn't know what it was. And certainly for window cleaning, it felt hard at the time to figure out, well, what is my purpose for this? But I did, I figured it out. I even gave a speech at an event that was audience voted. I think there was like 300 people there, and I won that talk. And it was about how I became a purpose-driven business. Not, um, and so like I literally don't understand the drive to just go after money. Now, I've been able to be told and sold on what the drive is. And I have to say, I don't always think that it's trans what people in sales will tell you is that it is our duty to make money so that we can do more with that money, create more of an impact. And so it is our moral obligation to get money and to do the things that we think are important in this world and have a bigger impact. Because if you don't have money, you don't have power and you don't have influence. And many good people don't have money because they don't think that way. And so I can kind of get on board with that now because I do understand that the more that you have, the more impact you can make if you are going to use that to make an impact. You know, I would argue that what's her name? Oh, it's on the tip of my tongue. Uh, mm, Amazon founder's ex-wife. Anyway, she's given billions away. Megan Likes was talking about this on my podcast last week, and I love her. Is it Sydney? I love her because she doesn't she is looking where to give the money. People are not applying to her. And I think that's such a cool thing to do. And she has a purpose. She has a vision and a purpose. Now, sometimes people will say they're mission driven. And so the purpose being purpose driven is about the reason, the why. Why are we doing this thing? Being mission driven is about the how are you going to do it and what are you doing to get to your why, if that makes sense. So it's the specific problem that we're solving in order to work towards that purpose. Um, well, it's work towards a mission, but it to fulfill the purpose. And it's really much more external because it's our businesses or our foundations, and it's very actionable. Um, 8 years ago, I co-founded Hatfield Mental Health Awareness Group in town. It's a nonprofit. It still exists today. And we did that with there was a mission behind that. We want to make sure that everybody in town has the resources for mental health support. And it's actually a really hard thing to do, we found out. And I'm still a big supporter of theirs, but I don't do anything with it anymore. But we were very forward in that mission and how we were putting it together because we had young people who were really struggling and some who had taken their life. And so the mission is something that we can accomplish. The purpose is so much about us. It's like the thing that's burning inside of us that makes us want to keep going. And I often say, like, if I don't have that why, if I don't have that kind of, it's like a North Star, I literally lose my mooring. I don't know who I am without that. So let me see if there's anything else that I can say about that. Oh, I wanted to talk about why I wanna work well, is it obvious why I would wanna work with, you know, purpose-driven, entrepreneurs and founders and leaders who are women? We have a lot of guys, a lot of men in this world who are doing business, and they're making an impact. I'm not gonna say they aren't, but they have every opportunity to do that, and they also, don't always use their resources in the way that I would choose to use them. And I guess that's their choice because we live in America. We're a democracy, right? Um, but there are not enough women in business. There are not enough women who are creating a big impact. And when I really thought about over the years, like I've always had a heart for women in business because I am one, and I've always felt like it was a struggle in a different way, but I was taught business by men. And so they never quite got the struggle. They never quite and it's not all struggle, everybody. I don't want you to think I'm just complaining here, but there's a lot that goes into being a woman in this world and also being a business owner and also being a mother and a wife and a friend and a giver. And so if I can protect and support the energy of my fellow givers and really focus on other women like me. Imagine the impact that
Sorry, I don't understand.
ugh, sorry, Siri was talking at me. Imagine the impact that I can have while not even having to be the forefront. Like, I don't have to be the person in the front. I don't need to be the Oprah, but I can just be the back end support for thousands of women. Like, that is my dream. That is my purpose, my vision. It feels very fulfilling. But I will say something. Someday I might not own Home Service VA or the Melody Manager. I will still be a purpose-driven person. I will still be somebody who is looking for the way that I can make an impact. Everything that I've learned in business the past decade, especially when I've really been studying, and it's the lack of talk about this that made it very confusing to me. And I'm really glad that Simon Sinek talked about this in his, TED Talk. It was so long ago. And in fact, last week in this business accelerator that I'm in, we one of our roles was to watch that. I hadn't seen it in years, and I forgot that there's actually more than just one part. It's not just about being purpose driven. But I think if you can figure out why you exist to do business, a lot of times we start with survival, and then we go to, "I wanna take care of my family," and then we go to, I wanna live a good life and be from survival to thrival." I made that up. Sounds cheesy, but it could work. And then beyond that, what I've seen is a lot of the men that I've seen be very successful, they tend to have, this transformation that I've seen many times where they were so much about money, money, revenue, like hustle, hustle harder. And then suddenly they're having this like midlife crisis where they're trying to figure out, well, I thought all this money would make me feel happy and it doesn't do the job. and it doesn't change their life. And so then they suddenly either go to God, maybe they had God already, and they go to purpose and impact. And I'm not trying to, what is it called when you not belittle, I'm not trying to minimize their existence or what they're trying to do or what their reasons for doing it are. But it's what I have witnessed with my own eyes. And I just realized, like, I have a different take. I've always had a different take on business and why I do it. Now, ironically, you would think that if I'm so purpose driven, all my businesses would just fail, because how can you make money if you also are chasing purpose? But you can. I would say that there has to be a level there. Like, if we're on a scale, sometimes my purpose has been way up here and the money has been here. And I think what my goal is to really level that out more, because money has to be in the mirror. I have to be looking, not the mirror, has to be in front of us. Like, I can't, one of my coaches once said, your business can be a ministry, but it cannot be a charity. And that was really clear to me, because I grew up evangelical and that language speaks to me. But what that means is, like, we can't just give everything away. That why we should run a nonprofit. One of the other things that Megan said last week that really struck with me in our podcast, or struck me, was she said she stopped making money for herself a long time ago, her and her husband. And what she meant by that is, the minute you get an employee, you're not making money for yourself anymore. You're making money so that you can take care of other people. I have a lot of people who rely on me to take care of them, meaning to pay them when every pay period, and to make sure that I'm giving them the things that I say that I'm going to give them through the work that they do. And so there's that part of it, like, where, and when she first said it, I thought she meant that she stopped making money because she just got so rich, and then she stopped making money for herself and making it for, philanthropy reasons. But that's not what she was saying. I would love to get to the point, though, where I am not making money for us anymore because we have enough, and I'm making money to be able to give and create more impact, because that's actually what makes me feel amazing, when I can actually have a serious impact on something, whether it was my community fund when I had my window cleaning company, where we would give shares, from each client would give a share of the fund to a local nonprofit. We would give to 20 to 30 nonprofits a year, thousands and thousands of dollars, and that fund still exists. And it was some of the most impactful, meaningful work. Like, it made window cleaning meaningful. Do you know what I mean? So can you hear that? Like, for me, this is what drives me. This is what makes me feel. It makes me feel like I am meant to be here. And when you start off, when you're young and you've struggled and you haven't been able to figure out, like, what is my purpose here, like so many young people do, I think I've just been lucky to find, well, to do a lot of hard work, first of all, and have access to resources that have allowed me to do that. But I'm also a very curious person. I want to understand my brain. And the more that I've read and learned from all different places, the more I've understood, like, this is a driver for me. It will always be a driver for me. And I'm totally okay with that. But what would make me even more happy is to be able to do this work with other women, teach them how I've been able to be successful with executive support, and then make it successful for them. I can't make it successful for them, but with the systems that we have created and the support that we provide and the training and the resources, like, we really try to set people up for success. So if you know a woman who is purpose driven, who is a visionary, sparkly brained person, who's a founder, a leader, trying to do something bigger in this world, and they've reached the level where they need executive support, they need somebody who is going to support them, whether it's social media posting. I don't do my own posts, you guys. It takes me 10 minutes to figure out how to run this live, by the way. and I've run it 7 to 8 times now. This is not where my energy should go, but also nobody's available during the times that I do this, so I don't put that on them, I leave it for me. But, like, having the right people around you so that you can, um, work on the vision that is going to have the impact, like, that is the most meaningful work that I can do, and that's why I started Melody Manager finally, because I was working with one person in particular, and it just shook me, like, "Why am I still not doing this? Why was I holding back?" My everything was good. It wasn't perfect, and it will never be, but it was time to move forward, and so that's what we're doing here. Um, Tonight is a night when I go and I get to hang out with my grandma, my 96-year-old, wonderfully dementiaed grandmother, and we're gonna make her bed, we're gonna eat some coffee ice cream, and so I gotta get rolling, I gotta get out of here. But I hope you had a great day. I had a fantastic day today. I felt like I got so much done, and if I can get all this stuff done on a Monday, I feel like I got the week's work done, so if my brain doesn't work for most of the rest of the week, I think I'll be okay. Has this been helpful? Are you purpose driven? Are you mission driven? Like, what is your why, I guess? That's become a very popular phrase, but what is the reason that you do the thing that you do? What is the reason for the business that you run? Um, or is that something you need to think about more? Because it took me a couple of years to really dial it in for myself. And I'm not talking about the mission of home service VA or Melody Manager. I'm talking about my internal personal vision and values and the mission that I hold in my heart. Megan's is people, profit, no, profit, people, planet, I think, which really speaks that says a lot in 3 words. I need to narrow mine down because I would have to, like, talk it out, and it's not gonna be a quick thing like that. So I'm gonna challenge myself to get to that point. Okay, everybody, I finished my day 1 of the week of Melody Manager Talks. It's January 19th. I will see you tomorrow. Let me know if you wanna know anything in particular about executive support, about your brain, and, like, purpose, about hospitalizations, but whatever you need, we can talk about that. And I'll tell you one quick story. I have to say it because I never mention the hospital, but I felt like it was part of today's conversation. I saw a friend that I haven't seen in a while on the weekend, and one of the things she said is, "Mel, do you remember the time you were in the, hospital, and I called you and was telling you about my problems?" And I was like, "What did I even say?" But I knew in my heart what I said was probably like, I was probably thrilled to have you call me and tell me your problems because whatever I was going through, just I mean, any distraction would have been helpful. So, I hope you have a good day, a good night, actually, and I will see you tomorrow.